Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Bold Explorer Live. Wait, you're seeing a very strange side of it. Hello, I'm Richard Bobes, and welcome to the Bold Explorer Live. Bit of an experiment at the moment going on here, as I'm just setting up the studio. We have a new gadget here in the studio. Hang on a minute, I need to just duck under the bench. Why is that happening? So I got one of my wires. Why are you caught up? Bloody wires. There we go. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Right, here's a webcam. This makes up an extra thing. Let me just show you something. This, ladies and gentlemen, has arrived this morning. Now, many of you have donated towards this. It is live in the studio, and it's a rather magical thing. And it means that I can cut from one camera to another camera, which I have rigged up in here temporarily just for this reading, because later on today I'm going to be recording with the lovely Julia and Mr. Suggett, and we're going to try and squeeze everybody in 1 meter apart from each other by pushing them against different parts of the walls and doing the Vogue show. But anyway, hello. It's all a bit mad, isn't it? But we do have the 3 cameras, of which I can cut to the 3 different people quite happily. So it's all very good. Yeah, it's just a new gadget that I've got, and I wanted to try it out. And also, because we're plugged into there, I wonder if you can tell me if my sound, if the audio is synced with it. Because if it isn't, I'm going to have to do something about it. So I'm hoping that it all works. It does do some other crazy little things, so you can, crossfade from different cameras to different ways, if you so wish. But I'm not going to muck about with that. I don't know how you turn that off. Now I've set that. There we go. I'll just bung it over there. Anyway, hello and welcome along. So we've got the lovely Julia out there. We've got Michael Angel. We have Turbo Stream. We have Morton Lewis. And we have Turbo Stream. Laura. We have Noel. Hello. I can see the sun between the clouds. Oh, marvellous. Well done. Dan Ludlow we've got there. We have Infinite Koala Army. We have Trev's Travels and Wolfman. Hello, hello. Alami. Hello to you. Or Alami. Sean, hello, sexy, says. And Trev's Travels, I may have said that. Graham Cass. Jeff Kellison, synced up in Washington State. Hello, Jeff. Jeff will be very pleased to know that we can now do this, because Jeff is one of the people who very kindly donated to make this all possible. So if I make a mistake, I can just cut to my my back end. So anyway, it's all good fun. Very high tech. Yes. Good afternoon to Lee. Anyway, today we are reading. Continuing with our reading of this rather interesting book, which is Morton's book on the Search of England. I don't know why I look on the spine. It's like, I don't know what it's called. I do know what it's called. Colours are a bit different, but otherwise great. Yes, I know that, Sean. Thank you. I know you work in television. You've done it all before, so don't have to tell me. Thank you. One of the cameras is I can't seem to get the colour grading. It's an early Blackmagic camera, funnily enough, and doesn't seem to like live colour grading. But there you are. I'm only responsible, says Jeff, if it works. If it goes south, I'll deny ever being here. Fair enough. I'm interested to see how the Blackmagic camera, whether that's going to overheat, because it's getting warm already. So it may die. The poor little thing. Yeah, that camera is a bit of a strange one. But anyway, you'll just have to cope. I'm sorry if, Sean, if you're a bit pedantic about the colours, but, you've been in situations, I'm sure. It's funny how somebody can just say one thing and it sets you off. I know you didn't mean it, but it's like I've been working on sorting out this stuff, and it gets you one thing. Right, we're on chapter 4, ladies and gentlemen. Let it pass. We're on chapter 4, and we are going to start now. There is a strangeness about Cornwall. You feel it as soon as you cross Tor Ferry. The first sight that pleased me was a girl with a shingled head. I'm sorry. A girl with a shingled head driving a cow with a crumpet horn. I knew, of course, I was in fairyland. I'm not surprised. And the next thing was a village that was trying to climb a hill. One whitewashed cottage had reached the top, but all the others had stuck halfway with their gardens, gazing in a rather surprised manner over their chimney pots. In these lovely disordered gardens, some of the oldest men I've ever seen had apparently taken root in the act of watching bean rows. If you understood any of that, then please write in on a postcard, because I haven't a clue what he was talking about. When I stopped to give the car a drink of water, a woman came to the cottage with a jug, and she sang her words prettily, as the Welsh do. Now, I can't do a Welsh accent, I'm sorry to say, so perhaps that's a good thing. Like the Welsh, these people possess a fine Celtic fluency, so that their lies are more convincing than a Saxon truth. And the names in Cornwall, just take a map as I did and read them. Here the saints have taken root, while white daisies like white daisies in a field. Is there a saintlier country on earth? St. Austell, St. Anthony, St. Maurs, St. Ives, St. Agnes, St. Neot, St. Pinnock, St. Melion, St. Germans, St. Brioc, St. Evil, and St. Columb. They ring like a pearl of bells over a meadow. What strange saints! Cornwall was converted by the Celtic Church, England by the Roman. Cornwall was converted by the Celtic Church, England by the Roman. These names preserved on the map of Cornwall are those of holy men from Wales and Ireland. Well, they all sounded like women. Who, when the legions were recalled and England became a wild battleground of men and gods, guarded Christ in the mountains. In a field, I saw women digging potatoes, their skirts looped back, and besides each a little wooden tub in which they put the vegetables. They might have been in Brittany. From the point of the hill road, I looked down upon the estuary. The tide was running up among the trees. See how the trees creep right down to the water's edge. There are white cottages, rather timid-looking, like fairies, who have come unexpectedly to the edge of a wood, and everything about the place suggests how sweetly life runs to the old tune. Fish in the nets and fruit on the trees, just as it was in the Golden Age. I wonder if people are happy down there, or is someone watching the tide run in through the screen of roses, longing for the splendid chance to earn 42 shillings a week in a London office? Let's hope not. I've no idea where to make for in Cornwall. One road was as good as another. I took the map, and one name curled around my heart. I don't think that in the whole length and breadth of England there is more beautiful name, but to fall in love with a name is like falling in love with a voice heard over the telephone, an impossibility. I whispered it twice and took the inevitable road to St. Anthony in Roseland. I'm writing in the tiny bedroom of a cottage in St. Anthony in Roseland. The thatch comes down so low that the upper part of the window frame has a stubbly beard. I can see, when I look out of the window, a clump of trees and a field shaped like a green dome. Beyond is a vast emptiness of the sky that means the sea. I cannot see the water, but I can hear a steady whisper of waves breaking in the little rocky bay below. That and the song of birds are the only sounds in St. Anthony in Roseland. I have said that I came here because I like the name. I came prepared for the worst, for a mine shaft or a street of dreary shops. At Tregony, I left the main road and drived in a labyrinth of lanes so small that there was no clearance between the cars and the hedge banks. Green plants caught me by the arm and seemed to say, "Don't go on! Don't go on! A man who expects St. Anthony and Roseland to look as it sounds is only gathering for one more disappointment." But I went on, and I came at length to the darkest tunnel of the lane I have ever seen. The hedges had grown up and formed arches the whole length of it, and the lane dipped down and down in the green gloom, and then rose steeply in the manner of these Cornish lanes, bending suddenly to give a view of the sea, startlingly near, breaking on a rocky coast, the high hills lying back, spread with neat cultivated fields. Turning a corner, I came to St. Anthony in Roseland. Now, if anything that you have believed in has continued to be worth your faith, if anything you have wanted has not fallen below your expectation, you will realise my wonder when I saw St. Anthony. 20 tiny, whitewashed cottages stood dotted about among tall hedges. They were covered with flowers. The bees were busy in the garden. In many gardens were those typical Cornish palm trees that rise 12 feet in the air and end in leaves like bunches of grey bayonets. There was no inn, no post office, and the nearest shop, I learned, is at Gerrans, 5 miles down those luscious lanes. St. Anthony in Roseland seemed lost, and happy to be lost, dreaming by the sea. There is no light, there is no sign of life. The little white cottages, covered with their briar roses and ivy geraniums, stood with doors open, yet no sign of man, woman or child. No one seems to have heard me drove up, not a sound. I shut off the engine and walk on. I saw a footpath over a field. Below was a tiny bay nestling between 2 gaunt cliffs. Here was no sign of life. The waves came booming over the rocks. The seagulls were flying with wild, lonely cries. I stood there a long time. Dusk was falling. I shook free from the wild spell of this place and asked myself where I would rest this night, for the map shows no way out of St. Anthony, but by 10 miles of those bosky lanes, and then a ferry and another 10 miles to Falmouth. I was tired. Would it be possible to stay the night in St. Anthony and find out what kind of people live there? Would it be good to stay in such silence, in such remoteness? I went back to the cottages. A rosy, middle-aged woman, wearing a print apron, was standing at the door of a pink cottage, looking at my car as though it were an unnatural phenomenon. "I wonder," I said, "if you could tell me where I could stay the night." A great bush of veronica was in bloom in the garden. The porch was smothered in geraniums. Canterbury bells stood beneath the windows, and the paths were lined with London pride. I wonder if she was having a drink of it. "Well," said the woman, and I can't do a Cornish accent. "Mousel, Richard, mousel." "Well," said the woman, "I've got nothing for dinner, sir, but eggs and cream. But because we have no shops and everything is bought us from Gerrans in the motor car, or else I'd gladly give you my spare room." I told her that eggs and creams was the only thing that I would dream of eating in St. Anthony in Roseland. "Well," she said, "come and see the room, and if it'll do, Mr. Tregona will let you put the motor car in his cowshed up the road." There is a beautiful article to be written about cottage bedrooms. They are the least sophisticated sights on earth. Above a big white bed was the wording in silver type, "Order my steps in thy word." To the left was The entrance to thy word giveth light. And to the right was, wait on thy God continually. Beside the bed on the bamboo table was the Bible. Above the bed was a shelf containing Uncle Tom's Cabin, a mother's recompense, Straight Paths and Crooked Ways, and Owen's Hobby. Straight Paths and Crooked Ways sounds like an interesting book. I wonder who wrote that. It was small and white and virginal even, this room, the kind of room the May Queen may have slept in. Gazing from the wall over the washstand was a saintly girl with long flowing hair. It struck me that she would never look at me when I shaved in the morning because her eyes were turned to higher things. She was called Resignation, and she had left a Christmas supplement in 1895. Near the bed was a touch of devilry in a wooden frame, a very different type of girl in Turkish costume, but obviously the girl herself was from some nice road in Wimbledon and was standing in a harem accepting with eager coyness a love letter thrust towards her through a barbed window by a most suspicious hand. This must have given Resignation some bad moments. I noticed, I said, looking through the window, that there's nobody about. St. Anthony seems asleep. Well, you see, sir, there's no children here about. We're all old. We closed the school years ago. As children grow up here, they have no way to go to... What? And I can't speak proper, see? What's the matter with you? I can't speak proper. Could you try? I'll try. As children grow up here, they have no... I see, I'm stumbling again. As children grow up here, they have to go away and do for themselves. My boy, who was in the war, my two girls are doing rather well. Some children come back to the farms when their fathers die. So that is the secret of St. Anthony in Roseland. It's had its children and they've all left the nest, and the old people stay on among the flowers. And I looked outside and I saw a tumbled-down shack, half cowshed, half chapel, its wood rotting and its beams falling in. Oh, that's the schoolroom. I can remember when it was full every morning, and the noise and the clatter. Now the nettle and the foxglove seem to make a green pall for all that is left of the youth in St. Anthony in Roseland. It grows dark. The sun has gone down. The peace of open fields and the open sky and the scent of the warm flowers come into me through the windows. The restless rhythm of the sea is like an endless wind blowing through a wood. One by one the sounds of day are stilled until the robin is left alone to sing in the high-pitched elegy. I know no sadder little song, nature's Angelus bell. It has no beginning and no end. It ceases suddenly in the middle of a phrase as if waiting for an answer that never comes, or is perhaps inaudible to the ear of man. The light is drawn out of the sky minute by minute, and the little throatful of heartache goes on and on in the gathering darkness. I've lit the lamps, sir. The supper's ready when you are. I'll be down in 1 second. Down the darkening lane I can hear the slow tramp of boots. An immense stillness seems to have closed its hand on the earth, and the words fade from this paper. Well, that sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? Anyway, that was the first section of that. I don't know whether there's a real place called Anthony St. whatever it was in Roseland. It does sound rather jolly. Oh, something's flown in my eye. Oh, it's my finger. So how are we all doing? Morton is well in Brummyland. I would like to do more for him. Anything you like. Whisper of Waves. Roseland sounds like a magical place, especially with seaside visions. You can imagine now it's probably multi-millionaire lair, isn't it? The Briar Rose was also in fairy tales. This is very poetic. Yes, I'm not very good at poetry, I'm afraid. Richard Studio is getting so good, soon the Beeb will want to lease space. I don't know about that. It's so cramped, but we're doing our best. I need a bigger house, really. Just checking everything's working. Yes, there is such a place, says Morton Lewis. Oh, marvellous. I suppose I could look it up, couldn't I? Anyway, it rained before dark, and the wind sprang up, blowing in from the sea, bringing with it the deep boom of the waves. I was sitting with my host and his wife in their little kitchen, smoking and enjoying myself to my heart's content. Simple and sophisticated people meet in a delicious unself-consciousness. They are at the opposite poles of congeniality. The light from the paraffin lamp fell in a yellow pool on the table, which was still littered with the broken bread of supper, and in this pool the big brown hands of the labourer moved, teasing the coarse tobacco for his pipe. His wife's brown hands moved over her sewing. Their eyes sought mine continually as they told me, with smiles, the little untroubled drama of their lives. How they had come here 40 years ago to this very cottage, how he had worked in the same fields for 40 years, how 40 crops had grown under his great brown hands, how she had borne 3 children, and how this tiny cottage then became a nest in which the family were reared. Now old, and the young ones out of this world, these two still lived under the same thatch. He raised with the dawn, as he had done for 40 years, going to the little well in the front garden, drawing ice-cold water, making a cup of tea for her before clumping heavily off to the eternal fields. The sweetest story in the world. In their beauty, the simplicity, in their beauty and simplicity, they were like flowers, these two old people. None of the storms that break over men and women seemed to have touched them. In this deserted Eden, they had not been hurt. The dry leaf of a geranium ticked against the pane, and I could hear the steady pricking of the rain on leaves. Inside the warmth and the light, inside, the warmth and the light seemed to deepen in the darkness beyond the window. Suddenly we became alert. We looked at each other. Footsteps were coming down the road. Who could this be? In this village of old fathers and mothers there are seldom footsteps in the lane after dark, and the alarm clock on the mantelpiece said that it was almost 10. These footsteps stopped before the garden gate, and they came on heavily up the path to the door. "I won't come in," said the voice of the farmer from up the hill. "'Tis a rare wet night, and my feet are muddied." He looked towards me. "I thought maybe you might like to hear the wireless tonight." My host and his wife beamed rosily. "You go and hear 'em, sir," said my host. "That be a rare thing, that wireless, and there be no better wireless in these parts than Mr. T's, which is so large 'tis possible to hear Lunnon as clear as spakin' as is Belsaw." So I put on my mackintosh and I waded up the hill with the farmer. My car was dry in the cowshed. A new litter of pigs were asleep. The cows were moving clumsily in the briar, and ahead the farmhouse windows shone yellow. "This wireless has made a rare difference to us," said the farmer, as he sat in his muddy boots and leggings, turning knobs and switching valves on and off. The light program. Achtung, Germany calling. There were 3 other people in the room, sitting on the light of the table, sitting in the light of the table lamp, 2 old women and an old man. On the walls were framed pictures of the relief of Mafeking, a large portrait of Lord Kitchener in a scarlet coat, and a picture of Queen Victoria wearing the crown, holding the sceptre and orb. We are not amused. He's a beauty, he is, said the... Oh, he's a beauty, he is, said the old man, pointing with his pipe stem to the valve set. During that bit of a strike you had up in London, we could hear exactly all that was passing, as clear as I can see you. Sir. Aye, said the old lady, we like that, Mr. Baldwin, for he was as plain as if he was in this room. But Mr. Churchill hemmed and hawed till you felt he was wishing to get up behind him and give him a shove. They all laughed. Aye, said the old man, if only, upon my word, they would all spake as good as the nice man, it would be real grat, that would. And who is the nice man? I said. Oh, said the young farmer, we call the chap who announces the nice man because we like his voice. This is the BBC Home Service. It's a fine voice, sir, and I'm sure he's a nice chap if you knew him. Ah, here we are. Now listen to that. London calling the British Isles. Hello, this is London calling the British Isles. Oh, Lord. There, it's gone now. Now we're getting more. I reckon the battery's run down. Hang on, listen. Now it's real good. Into my ears, across miles of emptiness, came the sound of the Savoy. The door opened, and the cat walked in. Meow. It could hear people in London putting down their liquor glasses, a tinkle of coffee cups, and a buzz of talk beneath the rhythmic thrumming of the dance band. Listen, cried the farmer, beating time. The Blue Danube. Bum, 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 ba 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 bum, 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 ba 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 bum, ba 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 da dee da dum. Bum bum ba da dum bum 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 ba da dum bum 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 ba da dum. Anyway. Enough of that. That's a real good tune, that is. It's clear tonight, but the rain. The tune ended. The buzz in the ballroom rose to a tone. A stray voice said, Wait, I can't do any better. And a confused hum of other voices cut in. I could see that the scene was so plainly. The coloured gowns and the shirt fronts and the little gold chairs, the band on the other platform ready for the next dance. Kitchener was looking at me sternly. The cat was asleep. Meow. The old man was smoking. Puff, puff. The two old women were sitting with their hands folded across their stomachs, and outside was the wilderness of the night and the rain and the sea. We talked about London. One of the old women was curious to know what sort of place the Savoy might be, how it looked, what the people did there, all of which I tried to satisfy. They were genuinely thrilled when I described the inside of Broadcasting House. This is the BBC, the British Biased Broadcasting Company, and pronounced the fact that I had met the nice man. Hello there. Hello there. Who was that? Who used to do that? Oh, what's his name? What was his name? Who used to go, hello there. Oh, you know who I mean. Oh, he's dead now. Hello there. Oh, what's his name? Come on, Vobes, what's his name? He used to be, Mr. Nice. He was so Mr. Oh, hello there. He used to start on Radio 2. He was on Radio 2 for a while. What was his name? Oh. It's on the tip of the tongue, and you almost know what it is. Anyway, he's not around anymore. Hello there. Just say it like that. The tune ended. Oh, I've done all that. Well, you talked about London. Yes, anyway. Well, upon thy soul, just fancy that now, said the old woman. They all sat up. I listened to a tango from the Strand and became sunk in a deep weariness. I said good night, and the old man took up my headphones. Oh, they'd listened to it on headphones, probably on some Bakelite. David Jacobs. There we are. David Jacobs. Thank you very much. Hello there. Jacob. What was his program he did, David Jacobs? Hello there. He did a Radio 2 program. It's a very sort of innocuous little program. Hello there. It's just always start. I just don't know why I remember that. Nad's Ribsy Red 2 with David Jacobs. Hello there. Oh dear, these things come out of your brain, don't they? I don't know why. Anyway, so they took off their headphones. As I walked down the little path, I turned and saw, framed in the yellow window, the little picture of rural England, heads bent down over the wireless, set in the night of a paraffin lamp. London coming to them from outer space. Queen Victoria, "We are not amused," and Lord Kitchener, watching with a certain stern amazement. "Who's it? David Jacobs? Hello there." Oh dear. Ken Russell. Is he now making rock operas? I have no idea. How sweet the air was after the rain. The sky had cleared, the stars shone. The two collie dogs set up a great barking as I peeped at my car in the cowshed. I went down the dark, soggy lane towards the light of a candle that was waiting for me in a blue enamelled stick. I have no idea what I just read, so I hope you did. Yes, what happened? David Jacobs' collection. How rich... Hang on. How sweet the air was after the rain. The sky had cleared. The stars... Oh, he's coming back. The two collie dogs sat up, a great barking, as I peeped in the cowshed at my car, and I went down the dark, soggy lane towards the light of a candle that was waiting for me in a blue enamelled stick. Oh, he's returning to the house. Okay, I've got it. Oh, that's marvellous. Add so much to the reading, yes. Don't put the idea into Richard's head. Hang on, what is this? One of the members of the FB group said, if you... What? One of the members of the Facebook group, If You Do Facebook, made a great video of St. Just in Roseland 2 months ago. Mark Selwood. Oh, did Mark Selwood do it? Genuinely Mark Selwood is. Mousel, Richard. It's Mousel, not Mousehole, Richard. It's Mousel, gunpowder. Gunpowder, there's lots of gunpowder. It's beautiful, isn't it, Richard? It's beautiful, isn't it? It is beautiful, isn't it, Richard? Oh, Richard, it is beautiful. Good old Mark Selwood. I must get down and meet him up again. Why are you calling it St. Just? Isn't it St. Just in Roseland? Or have they now renamed it? Didn't David Jacobs host a TV? I think he did. Some. Hello there. Hello there. Something like that, wasn't it? I've been out doing these things. And then who was the other one? Richard. Who was the other one who died fairly recently? Well, I say recently, probably about 10 years ago. Richard somebody or other used to do a Radio 2 show, didn't he? Oh, very old school. Richard. He used to do he was an announcer, wasn't he? Richard, or read the news. What was his name? Richard always in a suit. Immaculate hair. Just got older and older and older, but he'd never changed his suit. What was his name? Richard, they were of an era, weren't they? Do you remember when we used to have continuity announcers on the television, and they would be sitting there in that little silly studio and talking to you? That was good. Richard Baker, yes, there we go. Richard Baker, thank you. Oh, it's all been fun, hasn't it? Let's have another glass of water. Oh, mind the tooth. Anyway, look at that geezer. Remind you of anybody? Does that remind you of anybody? There's the back of it. Look. There he is. Same bloody room, this. Same room that's in there. Look at that wall there. Can you see the wall? See that? Notice it? Notice it? I can do that on this camera if you'd rather. You see? See how easy? Ha! Or over there. You can. It doesn't work, does it? Colours are all off, but never mind. I have blundered into a Garden of Eden that cannot be described in pen or print. There is a degree of beauty that flies so high that no net of words or no snare of colour can hold to capture it. And of this order is the beauty of St. Just in Roseland. Oh, wait, he's doing it. St. Just in Roseland. Wait, so where was it before then? Oh, I thought it was St. Justin. Ah, my mistake. There you go. St. Anthony. Oh, right. The companion village to St. Anthony. Well, Yeah, I am. There are a few cottages lost in trees, a vicarage with 2 old cannonballs propping open the garden gate, and a church. The church is grey and small, and, as a church, not worth notice, but it stands in a churchyard which is one of the little-known glories of Cornwall. I would like to know if there is in the whole of England a churchyard more beautiful than this. This is hardly a level yard in it. There is hardly a level yard in it. You stand at the lich gate and look down into a green cup filled with flowers and arched by great trees. In the dip is a little church, its tower level with you as you stand above. The white gravestones rise up from the ferns and flowers. Beyond the church, a screen of trees forms a tracery of leaves through which, shining white in the sun, you see the ground sloping steeply towards the creek beyond, which is that strong arm of the sea, Carrick Roads. Over the roof of the church blue water gleams. Above it rise the distant fields of the opposite bank. This churchyard is drowsy with the bee and rich with a leafy pungency. There is also a tropical smell in it, the smell of palms and foreign trees. An elderly clergyman was training a plant over a wall. He looked up and smiled.
"Yes, I am the vicar. Which do you prefer, those dark rhododendrons or the pink? And do you notice that rather subtle shade in between? I like that, don't you?"
"Who was St. Just, sir?" I asked.
"So, what? St. Just? St. Just it was,"
he replied, taking off his broad black hat and smoothing his silver hair.
"St. Just was, I just want you to admire the pansies. Now, look at them. Aren't they beautiful? It's lovely, isn't it? Isn't it delightful?"
He bent down and, taking a deep velvet flower between 2 fingers, turned his head gently towards me. "You were saying who St. Just was?"
"Oh, yes, yes, forgive me. St. Just, yes. The trouble I've had with these japonicas. Japonicas? Japonicas. I never remember how to pronounce them. Oh, dear."
He shook his head. "St. Just?" I humoured, hopefully.
"That tall tree over there, that one there, came from Australia," he remarked proudly. "By the way, I have a tropical garden behind the church, which obviously you must see."
I abandoned the saint. You have made this garden?"
"Oh, yes, with my own hands I have made it," he replied lovingly. "It took a long time."
Here he straightened his spare figure and cast a look round the indescribable tangle of loveliness.
"But it was worth it."
He smiled at me and quoted Isaiah.
"Instead of the thorn shall come up the fig tree, and instead of the briar shall come up the myrtle tree, and it shall be to the Lord for a name, for an everlasting sign, that shall not be cut off, O holy Moses."
I could say nothing. I watched the sunlight soaking through the leaves from above, moving in shadows over the tombstones. I listened to the stong, but also the song of the birds in the trees and the drone of the bees' wings. I looked to my companion's calm eyes and his brown gardener's hands, and my first sense of irritation vanished. I understood that there was religion in this gardening, that to him every new touch of beauty which he brought to birth out of this rich earth was like a psalm of praise. That year after year he had added beauty to beauty round the house of God. How many times we made a start for the church and were sidetracked by a clump of valerian, I cannot say. We walked round and up and down, climbing shady paths, coming out upon terraces, talking with frequent horticultural interpolations about local matters.
The origin of Roseland. Oh, look at those lovely briar roses. Isn't they lovely, isn't it? It's a moot point. The legend is that it got its name when King Henry VIII spent his honeymoon here with, what's her name now, dear? Anne Boleyn. Anne Boleyn. They were Anne Boleyn around the very graveyard, in fact. They were supposed to have stayed in the castle at St. Mewes. The story is... Oh, smell this leaf. Lovely. It comes from New Zealand, yes. I wonder if I did it right to put it in that clump of rocks there so high. What do you think? Yes. Oh, yes, the story. Yes, they say that when Anne Boleyn was ambling around these parts, got here, she asked the name of the place and, receiving no answer, turned to the roses and said, "'Tis Roseland, forsooth." Now, foxgloves in a shady spot. Look, how shady are they? They look rather eloquent in there, don't you think?
I tried desperately to hold him for a moment, but he was off after some snapdragons. I managed to drag him back.
Yes, it's a pretty story, but probably isn't true. The antiquities derive the word from the Rosalind's, meaning the moorland isle. Do you hear that cuckoo? Cuckoo, yes, cuckoo. It's in the wood at the back of my house. Listen, cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo.
I think he's gone a bit cuckoo. We parted the trees and looked out on the peaceful beauty of the creek, the tide coming up, the high, still woods, and beyond, deep waters of Carrick roads. Incredible, unspoilt beauty.
There's a scheme, you know, he informed me. I believe the bill has been passed through Parliament to turn this place into a great harbour for Atlantic liners, to build open wharves and graving docks and a railway, just for St. Just Paul. Is what? Yes, exactly. Again? Oh, all right. What I said was, I believe the bill has passed through Parliament to turn this place into a great harbour for Atlantic liners, to build ocean wharves and graving docks and a railway, for St. Just Paul is a natural deep water anchorage.
A graving dock and a railway in paradise?
Nothing, he went on, has been heard of this scheme for a long time. It's probably been dropped.
We both cast a glance round the quiet churchyard. I imagined how it would look in the middle of Portsmouth. We walked on till we came to a grave in a lovely corner of the garden.
"My eldest boy,"
he whispered, and then went on among the flowers. Forgive me, but you must be one of the most fortunate vicars on earth. Instead of sin, you have flowers." He looked surprised.
"My dear sir, you have no idea. There is sin, too."
"Oh, yes. But here," I said, "among this, a mere handful of people living quiet lives, what sin can be here?"
"The parish is a big one. My curate takes a boat on Sunday and visits at many other churches. I have a large parish. I have care of nearly 1,000 scattered souls. And oh, yes, sir, there is sin. Oh, woe betide me. It's terrible."
I wanted to find out more about the sins of Eden, but he shook his head and smiled.
"Wasn't I telling you about St. Just?" Yes, that's right. Well, he knows... he, you know, was Justin, son of Geraint."
I drew a deep breath. "Geraint of the Round Table, who married Enid and crowned a happy life with a fair death?" I asked.
He nodded his head and smiled. "And the legend is that when he died, he was borne across the bay at Gerrans, just at the back of here, in a golden boat with silver oars, and buried beneath Cairn Beacon. Just before you go, you do come and look at the fuchsias, won't you? Lovely, lovely little fuchsias. Come here, fuchsias, get out of it. It's my cat, you know. She's been a bit sick. Furballs. Furballs? It's not furball, that's what you want. I'll take you down and put you on the bonfire again. On the bonfire.
Now and then, I whispered. Now and then, I whispered, as I went out of Roseland, just now and then one seems to touch again the fringe of romance. It was just a flying second that stays for a flash, and never long enough to be grasped before it flies on to eternity to join all the other lovely dreams and all the foolishness which one has from time to time lost. Don't know what that last bit was. Now and then, as I whispered as I went out of Roseland, just now and then one seems to touch again the fringe of romance. It's just a flying second that stays for a flash, and never long enough to be grasped before it flies on to eternity to join all the lovely dreams and all the foolishness which one has from time to time lost. Well, that makes more sense the second time I said it. So there we go. How about that? It is now 10:02, so I think that's a good time to finish off because we won't get round the end. But I hope you enjoyed that. That vicar there, he was lovely, wasn't he? Wasn't he lovely? Lovely. Look at my fuchsias and it. Oh, these rosebuds. They're just so nice. Lovely little old geezer. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Let's have a quick look at the commenters and see how we're doing. Is this camera still on? That camera's been on for 45 minutes. That's remarkable. I bet that's really, really, really hot. No, it's not too hot. It's doing very well. I wish I could get the colour to be a bit warmer. But there we go. Anyway, let's have a little gander with Miranda. Cynthia, but spare me from all the woke stuff at 63. I don't fit in. Guess I'm not woke. What? Hang on a minute. Is somebody having a go at Cynthia? Who's having a go? I think it's abbreviated to St. Just. Oh, yes, I thought that's what he said. Very tame. It's a small church. St. Just is the place where Christ is rumoured to have landed as a boy. Blimey. From outer space, presumably. I like the fact that the clergymen are old and decrepit. Oh, yes, much more fun to read if they're old and decrepit. Oh, yes, much more fun if they're old and... I don't know why I've gone to that camera. Much more fun if they're really, really old and decrepit. Come, have a look at my font. Not sure I want to have a look at your font, mate. Very kind. Oh, it's lead-lined, you know. It's lead-lined. Come with me. No, I don't want to. Come with me and to look at my font. Come with me. Come, yeah. Ooh, he's turned into an evil, decrepit old man. Not so decrepit, it was all just a mask. It's called Roseland, as roses grew there when Christ walked. Ah, thank you very much, Mike. Yes, they were even there when I was in Brum in the 60s, and they're now woke and happy playing clappy nonsense. Wait, who is happy clappy? As an atheist growing up in a very religious house, says Mark Donny MacLeod, I always thought it would be delicious fun to have a vine and fig tree to sit under to annoy the local types. Oh, yes, wouldn't that be good? Morton, since the woke brigade, I never got to the bottom of that. What's that, Michael? I have done nothing. Was that you, Julia, or YouTube? Ooh. As I suspected, Richard finally has gone cuckoo. Yes, it'll get me in the end. There's no real reverence. Ooh. For the majesty of God now, the Catholic Church has it more here. I'm C of E, but I attend mass here, says Morton Lewis. The person has definitely not seen Midsummer's Murders. Miss Marple Hercule. Just a silly joke. It's Midsummer's Murders, isn't it? Midsummer's, they're going to be murdered there in the midsummer. Someone's coming with you on a big knife. Will you be doing another series of Dorset with Dave Ford? The last one was great, says Robert Jones. Yeah, who knows? As soon as we're allowed out. Oh, we are allowed out. As soon as I'm, as soon as the sun comes out. Oh, the sun has been out. Yes, as soon as I'm able. All villages are dens of iniquity, says Mark Donny McLeod. That's true. Another enjoyable reading. Thank you very much. Love the cuckoo. Cuckoo. Yeah. Who is the cuckoo? Me? Probably. Ben Reeve says, come and look at my font. It's genuine. Times Roman numeral. What? It's New Times.
Come, look at my font, my dears. It's let lines, you know.
The message is held for review. I'm not at all surprised. Check out my channel, Ollie S. Check it out. Check out my channel, mate. Check out mine. Mine's got big checks in it. Big checks, hopefully coming from, the patrons to me.
So I can buy another font.
Anyway, thank you very much. Later on tonight, a discussion with Mr. Suggett, Miss Is Hartley, and Monsieur Laveau in special mixed camera scope of vision-y. So that's what we hope. Anyway, there we go. Thank you very much. Mark Durham says, sad I missed the beginning. Good read for what I've heard. We'll be back later. Yeah, no problem at all. Take care. Nice to see you all. Have a goodie. And catch you later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.